Hooray! We are ready for our last page of notes in our fraction packet. So we're going to end with division. So I wrote down the dividing rules, okay, right here. So go ahead and copy these down. So this is kind of like the abbreviated version of what's in your graphic organizer. But we are going to write the mixed numbers as improper fractions. Then we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which if you remember, that's when you flip the fraction. And then, of course, we are going to simplify. All right, but before we get going on that, I want to talk about integer rules. So walk me through what happens when we are dividing integers. So if I take a negative divided by a positive, the quotient will be negative because the signs are different. If I take a negative divided by a negative, the quotient will be positive because the signs are the same. Okay, so just a fair warning that we will have integers tied in with our fractions. All right, let's start with a plain and simple one. All right, so I have negative 3/5 divided by 3/4. So write that down and let's go through our steps. So first, writing mixed numbers as improper. I don't need to mess with that because I don't have any mixed numbers. So we're ready to multiply by the reciprocal. So we are going to change the division to multiply, and then we are going to find the reciprocal of 3/4. So I just flip that fraction around. Did the step say anything about our first fraction? It didn't, so that's just going to stay the same. So we keep the first fraction, we switch it to multiplying, and then we flip the fraction that is listed second. And okay, so now I'm ready to multiply. I'm not sure if you're a fan of the cross dividing, but do you see how the 3's are across from each other? So this is called cross divide or cross simplify depending on your textbook. So if I take 3 divided by 3, I would get 1, and then 3 divided by 3 is 1. So instead of using the 3, I'm going to multiply by the 1. So I have 1 times 4, and then I have 5 times 1. So I go straight to my simplified fraction. Now my integer rule, I don't want to forget that. I had a negative divided by a positive 3/4, and those are different signs, so our answer should be negative. So we have a negative 4/5. Okay, I've moved down to the practice problems here on the bottom. We're going to solve negative 2 and 1/10 divided by negative 3/5. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple pointers before I let you work on your own. Remember, our first step is to change our mixed numbers into improper. Okay, so just to practice that with you right here, we're going to take 10 times 2 and add 1, ignoring the negative. I don't want you to take positive 10 times a negative 2. Don't worry about the negative, just know that the whole term is negative. Okay, so it's going to be a 21, negative 21/10, divided by a negative 3/5. Okay, so I wanted to help you with that first part of going from a mixed to improper. And also let's talk about the signs. We're taking a negative divided by a negative, so our quotient is going to be positive. Okay, other than that, I'm going to let you work this one out on your own. All right, how did you? This is what my workspace ended up looking like. I was able to cross divide on all of my numbers, which makes me very happy. All right, so now I want you to try one on your own from beginning to end and see how you do. Remember to use our checklist. So making improper fractions, multiply by the reciprocal, and simplify. All right. right, here's your problem. 22 1/2 divided by 4 2/7. All right, here's what my workspace ended up looking like. My improper fractions. I cross-simplified by dividing by 5 to give me the 6 and the 9. I simplified my improper fraction and ended up with 5 1/4. Now we're ready for the U-pick. Example 2, the Flathead Rail Tunnel in Montana is about 7 3/4 miles long. If a train travels through a tunnel at a speed of about 1.5 miles per minute, how long will it take to pass from one end of the tunnel to the other? So understanding means we restate the question. We want to know how long. Okay, so that means to me that we're solving for time. Okay, so in the problem they give us the distance and they give us the rate. I don't know if you remember that awesome little formula we talked about earlier, the DIRT, D equals RT, distance equals your rate times your time. That's what I automatically think of when I see something with a rate in it. But for this problem, I'm going to end up taking the distance divided by the rate to figure out the time. So we are ultimately dividing, and then that's what we were talking about today, so that makes sense. Okay, so to implement, we want to take the distance divided by the rate to give us the time. All right, so if you look back at our problem, we have 7 3/4 divided by 1 1/2 as our rate, and that will give us our time. All right, so go ahead and try to divide that out on your own and write a concluding statement. All right, how did you do with your division? I ended up with 5 1/6 minutes. So I made my improper fractions, and I went ahead and jumped to my multiplying by the reciprocal. I was able to cross simplify the 2 and the 4, and went from there. Okay, in conclusion, it will take 5 1/6 minutes to pass through the tunnel in Montana. All right, good work.